Support for WUWM podcast comes from Hop Harvest and Vine and Good Harvest Market in Pewaukee, part of One Destination, combining farm-to-table dining, local craft beers, and organic groceries under one roof. More at goodharvestmarket.com.
Lake Effect brings you conversations about what's happening in Milwaukee and the people, places, and organizations that shape our community. This is Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR.
A massive data center campus is being constructed in Port Washington. Elected officials there say the project will be a boon for the community. But not all residents are on board. Some are concerned about the environmental impact, their bills, and quality of life. WUWM has been exploring this data center debate, and today we'll look at buildings. Vantage Data Centers is the company building this campus. It's purchased more than 100 properties in Port Washington, which means some buildings need to go. That's where David DeVooght comes in. He moves buildings for a living. He sees this land purchase as an opportunity to reuse existing structures, rather than have them end up in a landfill. WUWM's environmental reporter Susan Bence met with DeVooght to learn about his work.
We're moving a 24 by 40 pole shed. To my understanding, it's roughly about 20 years old.
2 doors, one biggie and a small one.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you have to do to prep it to move it?
So this one, being a pole building, it has poles going into the ground. So what we first do is set up our rigging on the inside, attach our equipment to each pole on the inside of the building, and we gradually add a little bit of pressure to raise everything, and then we cut all the poles off at the bottom. Once the poles are all lifted, then we go up and we install our wheels and install the truck on the front end.
So how long did that process take, give or take?
We were on site for about 7 hours.
Okay.
We do have a little prep to load the equipment to get down here and the prep, to get home too. So
yeah,
we have a little over a day into this building here.
And so we would be who?
Me and my crew. It's 4 of us.
4 of you.
When we're 4.
So when you hook this up, there'll be 4 of you as well, or 4 when you move?
We'll have 4 of us. A minimum on the move. Sometimes I bring in some extra help if it's a more challenging one. This one is a fairly simple move. Nice wide roads, good county roads to move on, good county to move in. So this one, we'll be around 4 people. We'll have a couple of our own private escorts that will be in front and back of the load, and then we'll also have the sheriff department out here with 2 of their officers also escorting us, assisting us on the road.
So where is this pole barn's new home going to be?
This one's going on the west side of Belgian on County Road D.
Same owners?
Same owners. The father owned this property. He was bought out. And they decided, I think, the son, to give it to the son, and they're saving it, and, they're repurposing it. And it's a perfectly good shed. Up to the day we moved it, they were using it, parked their cars in it every day.
Yeah. And the other barn is not moving?
The other barn, we are moving. We're taking that one, we're going to save it and see if somebody would want it, or we'll take it back to our place. It's just another opportunity to save another building.
So in that case, they sold it to you, or how does that work? Or does it vary by the project?
It varies by the project.
Yeah.
Depends on what it is. Sometimes they would rather see them saved versus just ending up in a landfill.
Yeah.
And then you don't have the cost of the demolition either, so it saves people money in certain cases. So some buildings are given to you or paid for $1, and some you might have to pay a few thousand for. But it all varies for each project.
So in this case, the homeowners are the people who own this, because this is all going one way or the other.
Yes.
They're responsible for the demolition?
No, they are not.
Oh,
They
okay.
had the rights to their buildings. So they were allowed to take any of the, inside of the building. In this case, they were allowed to take the buildings, and then they can leave whatever they don't take. They have a certain day that they have to be off, and then whatever they don't have off, then that's not theirs.
So they've moved?
They have moved. They have another place, yes. It would be nice to see a few more buildings saved. Not every building is worth saving, and sometimes it's not feasible all the time. But having a little bit extra time and doing a little more research, the ability to save a few more buildings versus going to a landfill, to me, outweighs any of it,
How did this particular project come to you, David?
These people reached out to me looking at getting their shed moved. They didn't know exactly what they were going to do in the beginning, if they were going to take it to the next place where they were going to go, where they moved to, or if they were going to put it at their son's place. So it took them a little while to decide, and I eventually gave them a price roughly about 6 months ago, and then it took them a little while to get planning and, to get it laid out. And they have a slab where it's going, so when we get it there, we'll have it set down the next day.
What does it cost somebody decides we want to keep whatever it is we've got and move it? I'm sure it varies by the structure, and a house would be
It varies by the structure, it varies by the distance of how far you have to go. The height, that would determine how far you can go, which will be the price cost. We have somewhat of basic prices for certain things, like this is a pole shed. We were at $7,500 to move this. Mm-hmm. You'll never build it for that, Yeah. We are less than half of the materials that it costs to build it. Right. So it's very feasible what we can do, as long as it's a good situation like this was. This is a fairly easy job, and everything went right on it. And an easy move, close to get there, so there's no obstructions that would make the price go up anymore. Typical houses, you get anywhere from the $30,000 to $40,000 range to move them, depending on what they are and how far they got to go. That's just a typical smaller house. When you get to bigger houses, they end up to be a little bit more money.
Is there the possibility that you are going to be moving a couple houses?
There are people looking at moving a few other homes in the area, real close. They're toying with the possibility and getting numbers, and them are a little bit bigger houses. They go a little bit further distance, so there's a lot more planning on it. We're just down here helping them to try to get it done. It's just a hard thing when nobody does it a lot. It's not done in this area very much, from what the county and the sheriff department has told me, and this was one of the first ones in a while, but they are working on it, and we might know within a month if that project would go. That's 4 buildings that would be moved in another area and set up.
Tell me about the history of your business. It started with your dad. It started as a part-time gig, right?
My father started it right before he went into college. He went into college at 18 to be a teacher, and he had known about the house moving business from my grandfather that had a few moved. And at the college that he was at in Michigan, they were expanding and taking out houses, and he just happened to buy a house and buy a lot, and had a local mover come to help him move it. And back then, late 60s, in that era, they helped each other. And eventually the guy was getting older, and he sold the equipment to my dad, and then my dad moved another one. And originally he was setting them up just on the side for a little extra income, and he was doing that through college. He got a teaching job eventually. That's how we moved to Wisconsin. We're originally from Marquette, Michigan. And he taught for a few years, and back then the teaching, they weren't paying that well, and the house moving was doing okay. A lot of expanding back then. We did have I-43 was still going through back in that day. A lot of roads were going on. Here we are today, we move quite a few buildings. It's my father has since passed away. My brother works out on the East Coast. He deals with flood mitigation and lifts up homes after the hurricanes come, and I'm more out here in the Midwest, moving things around, saving buildings that are slated for demolition.
Aside from the importance of a livelihood, the importance in your mind of saving versus demoing and things ending up in landfill is meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm. To me, it would be nice to see more saved, because we throw so much away. Everything nowadays is throwaway, and just a bigger way of recycling. And we see these buildings that have a little bit of time that could be saved, the ones that could be repurposed for the housing. We have a housing issue now. There's so many buildings. They tear a building down every day. There's a building getting tore down. We could save some of them, and they could be repurposed for housing. So it's not only that I benefit from the moving, or the plumbers, or the concrete guy, the community itself does for the rest of its life.
David DeVooght is the owner of DeVooght House Lifters. He spoke with WUWM's environmental reporter Susan Bence.
You can find more interviews like this one by visiting WUWM.com/Lake Effect. And while you're there, subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.